Hello, welcome to my studio tour. It's really blustery outside, so we'll go in a second. But I wanted to show you. How big the trees are that are behind my studio. Pretty tall, pretty cool. But let's go inside before they throw pine cones at us. I've already lost power for a minute today. So, got the nice sliding door that I got from Craigslist. Come on in. Slippers, of course, although I need to get another pair because I keep every morning getting up and being like, where's my slippers? I can't find my slippers. And they're out here. So right next to the door, I have this super tall full-length mirror, which I'm pretty excited about because I haven't had a full-length mirror, I don't know, in like a decade. So that's pretty exciting. Then I've got my bookshelves. On top I have the box my bonnet used to be in, my bonnet. This is like in case you cut the top of the countertop down, then you can stick that on the side. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Feather from a millinery class I did in college. Some boxes. Up here I have some things on display. I got this complete course in dressmaking from the 20s. I was sold from Sears and Roebuck. Probably gonna work through that sometime. You know, gotta have your Quality Street tin. I have a Peterson's magazine from 1854 and one from 1855. I found my dye thermometer. What temperature is it in here? Just 68, perfect. I've got sewing books and this magazine about fashion that was out for a while ago. There's smaller sewing books, some dyeing books. Photo of my mom and my gran and my granddad and my great-gran and my great-granddad and my aunt and my great-aunt back when they used to live in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland. Some college textbooks and some more sewing books. I got not very many sewing books at all. So I got, you know, modern sewing and some quilting and some dyeing stuck in there. Down here I have a binder where I keep my like sewing notes, the American System of Dressmaking part of it that I've been printing out. I got some more issues of Worn, and you know, very important to have in your sewing studio is the Guide to the National Historic Trails auto route for the Oregon Trail. Goes through all the states, very important. Miscellaneous things. Got some binders from college here. I got a sewing class I was in, a stage makeup class, history of Western dress class, another sewing class, and then notes on natural dyeing and the natural dyeing I've done, and some more sewing printouts. Then we just get down into miscellaneous stuff. So, you know, 4x5 film holders, some alternative photo process stuff, a photo book I made about the drive-ins in Washington State where I photographed them all. There's some new drive-ins open this summer temporarily, which is really fun. Paints, paper, a bracelet I cast out of silver in high school. Wherever I go, there's just like film scattered everywhere. Some books, some note cards, some miscellaneous stuff, an old sewing kit. This is a bunch of vintage embroidery patterns, and then I have my sewing patterns and the rest of my sewing patterns. Over on this shelf we got my granddad and gran and their dog, and then my mom and aunt and the dog back when they lived out in Mbekula. A tin from my grand's house. I told my father to get a photo when he went to Bring Your Parents to Work Day to see my brother, and he brought me that. A tin from my grand's. This is my photo bookshelf. I have books that have been in my photo classes, and then books that I got for myself. What is this binder? I don't know. This is just a binder of photo case making notes and stuff I've printed out. This is John Coffer's Doer Guide, the best manual on wet plate collodion. Then I've got, what is this? Another copy of the Doer's Guide. This is the old handwritten copy, this is the newer copy. If you did watch my series on early photography, you might remember that I'm a fan of obscure societies to join. So these are my SCA catalogs, which is not the SCA you might be thinking of. It's the Society for Commercial Archaeology. Very interesting. Then I got my ALFAM bulletins, which is the Association for Living History, Farm and Agricultural Museums that I used to be a member of. Then I've got my Daguerrean Society newsletters, an empty one, some calligraphy paper, some miscellaneous stuff. These are my final photo projects from my photo classes. I've got some books for a project coming up and some old school books. I've got Daguerrean annuals, miscellaneous junk, some other college textbooks. These are a bunch of old slides that I got somewhere, and then these are notes from my photo classes and all my negatives. This box is really cool. It has a bunch of negatives and photos from World War I. I found them at a yard sale in the like free trash pile, and so I of course took them. This was like, I don't know, when I was 10, so it's pretty rad. I'll have to go through and get some more inspiration. Then next to the bookshelves I have my whiteboard where I can write notes to myself and upcoming video ideas. I've got a very beautiful trash. And I've got my big cutting table. I am loving my table. It's great to have somewhere to spread out my stuff and be able to get a good look at the patterns. I've been really working on keeping it clean. The color of these was not the color I was expecting, but I actually love it. It turns out really well because otherwise there would have been too much of this dark brown all the way through, so they actually turned out perfect. I love having all these drawers. I got a drawer for tech stuff. Then these three are my work in progresses. This is some modern sewing I was going to work on, some things I need to finish and mend, and then my Sontag and some wool I need to dye. And here I have my white cottons and my mock-up fabric. And here I have photography stuff, which will probably go somewhere else eventually. But right now it's kind of nice to just have it holding space so I can't fill it. I've got a bunch of old sheets in here. And then this is my fabric stash. It's like mostly just cottons. Got some vintage stuff. This is gonna be a dress for the 1850s dress for the fort. And then just some stuff I need to sew up some modern clothes with. Gotta have your yardstick, so I got a good yardstick from Chimicum Corner Farm Stand. I tucked back here my big square ruler. I tucked back here my split back contact printing frame for photography. And then I stuck my roll of fabric that I have there. The table is super sturdy, super awesome. You know, got my tea and my phone. This is the project I'm working on right now. Got my scissors handy. Just have some miscellaneous pens and markers, a needle. This ruler is the handiest ruler. It's a clear 18-inch ruler. I use it all the time. Then I got tape and a hole punch. Up above the window here, I've got my medieval longbow and arrow that I made last fall, because as you do. Then over on this side, let's see what I got. This is my tools and notions drawer. So, you know, I got chalk and markers and rotary cutters, safety pins, tracing kit. This is my lace and ribbons drawer and Shishiko thread and needles. Oh, also bias trim and rickrack. So I guess it's just like a trimmings drawer. This one has fasteners, so it's got buttons, zippers, snaps, hooks, and eyes. This drawer has my corset stuff. I'm working on 1850s corset right now, so the corset stuff goes in there. This drawer has my batting and some wool. This one has little bits of fabric, interfacing, weird fabrics, so like raincoat or synthetics. This drawer is my husband's. This drawer is a disaster. It's got my cottons for natural dyeing, and then it's got a bunch of wool in there, and it also has silks for natural dyeing, so let's just pretend that doesn't exist. This is my little cabbage box, so when I am cutting, I just throw my scraps of fabric in there. It's pretty handy. Got a big mat cutter. This is a print by a photographer named Jack Lowe. He's currently in the middle of a big project where he is going to all of the Royal National Lifeboat Institutes, the RNLI lifeboat stations. So the RNLI is a volunteer-run lifeboat program, so they're kind of like the Coast Guard you might think of in the US. Although all volunteer, they go and help people when they're like in distress on the water. So he's going to all of the stations in the UK and photographing them using wet plate collodion. And this is a print that he made of one of the slips. Some of the boathouses have these, I forget what they're called, these ramps where the boat launches into the water down them. This is in the Orkney Islands. It's now a museum. I am one of his patrons on Patreon, so I get a free print every year. His work's really beautiful. He always takes a view from the boathouse and then one of the crew, one of the coxswain. He does special ones of the women of the RNLI and whatever else catches his fancy. So I recommend checking him out. He doesn't really use his Instagram anymore, which is unfortunate. He mostly just does Patreon now, but you know. This here is my ironing table. I am going to talk about my ironing setup in another video probably next week. So I got a gravity iron. Got my big map over it. So this is a map of Fife in Scotland, which is the part of Scotland that I'm from and used to live in. Haven't gotten to go to Scotland in over a year, so I think I was feeling a little homesick when I decorated the studio. So I put a lot of Scotland stuff on the walls. But I can look at this while I'm ironing. I love maps. I love looking at maps. So it's pretty great. I have a big project planned involving here, so I can look at this while I'm ironing and think about that. All right, over here below this window and under my ironing table, I've got my heat source. Keeps it pretty warm in here, which is nice. Then I've got this trunk. This trunk was my trunk for being a summer camp counselor for 6 years in the San Juan Islands. Super handy. Inside now, I've got a bunch of collaging I did, of photographs I printed in college, and contact test strips, postcards, things like that, and name tags. And it's just full of clothes that I need to go to. I just brought it over from our old house and stuck it in here. There was no closet space in our old house, so this was working as part of my closet. I need to go through it and sort it out. Then next to the trunk, I have a table. This table I bought in college, and it's seen better days, but it does the job right now. I got my typewriter and my thread rack. Then here, I have this cute little drawer system, and I have put inside all my sewing needles, mostly for my machine, organized by size. All right, so this is a poster that has traveled with me like everywhere that I've moved, probably for the last 17 years or so, since I stole it from my sister's ex-boyfriend. I don't if he gave it to me, but it's mine now. He can't have it back. So this is a, just guy on a motorcycle. I just think it's really beautiful. It says, I have English 2 in Gaelic, and has this great map of Lewis on it. Apparently now he is a vicar on Skye. What is Lewis? This is Lewis. Lewis is an island in the Outer Hebrides. This is a map that I got in St. Andrews a few years ago. It's a really old cycling map. They had quite a few. I only bought 3 of them. I really wish I had bought them all. It's probably from like the early 1900s. And they were only like 3 quid each, but money, sometimes you don't have enough. So I could only get a couple. But I love maps and decorating with maps. I'm looking at them. I'm missing Scotland, so there you go. Here I have my sewing table. Right now I've got my modern sewing machine set up. It's just a basic model I got because my old basic model broke, and when I went to get it repaired, they were like, it's cheaper to just buy a new one, and somehow they talked me into that. So it's just a stupid basic model. It's fine. It does zigzag though, so that's cool. Got a nice chair I got for $1 at the thrift store. Some little stuff. Water bottle, of course. A beautiful view of this glen. I quite like it. There's thimbleberries out there in the summertime, and salmonberries and salal. It's quite nice. This trunk is from when I went to boarding school very briefly, and right now it has stuff in it that has been in here since I was in high school, and I should probably go through it. It's just I was using it as a costume trunk, so it's got a bunch of weird clothes in it and old school uniforms, so I need to go through it, get rid of some of it, because I'm going to turn it into my storage for costumes. I don't have anywhere to hang up clothes for costumes in here right now because I don't want to take up the space for that. So I have my fort clothes in that box right now. I'm gonna transport them into there instead. It'd be nice to have somewhere to hang up my clothes, but it just takes up so much space. Like starched petticoats, they take up a lot of room that I can't even be bothered with it. I would like to build another tiny little shed and insulate it and seal it up to be able to keep my costumes in there, but I'm not to that point yet. Then in the last corner, I have this nice chair, and I have a cyanotype quilt. Cyanotype is a photo process from the 1840s. It has ABCs of grass species on it because I made it while I was in a class, a whole quarter-long class studying grass and rangeland management. This chair is pretty nice. I can sit here, look out the window at this giant snag that is leaning more and more every day and is wobbling quite a bit, and we're just kind of waiting for it to fall down. Hopefully it won't fall on anything. Luckily the direction it's leaning right now, it's not going to fall on anything. But I can look out, look at the garden. The chickens are right outside here, so when it's warmer out and I have my door open, I can hear the chickens clucking away, which is pretty nice. I'll go show you them after this. The last thing I have on my walls is this big frame. It's empty, as you can see. Someone I used to work for gave me these frames, like 4 of them, and it would be mean to make some art for them, but I keep forgetting, so I just hung it up to remind me to make some. The artwork I have right now is not framed. I do plan on framing it. Framing is the next thing I'm going to learn, so those will be framed soon, and I'll probably be adding a bunch more pictures to my walls because I gotta practice framing. Right here under the table, I have my other sewing machines. These are my vintage ones. This one is a Singer 301A. I think it needs a little bit of maintenance. I tried it and it wasn't working that well. Maybe I just had the bobbin and upside down or something stupid like that. Maybe it just needs a new needle. So I've been meaning to give it another shot. I've got some accessories from it. I got it at a yard sale. I would like it to work because I think it's a pretty heavy duty one. You can lower the feed dogs as well, so I hear it's good for quilting or something. I don't know. But I like its little case. And then here I have my Singer Featherweight. It was just lost in the shed for a bit, but now it's back in here where it belongs. So I'm going to probably put away my modern one and put this one in. So that machine and the modern machine are the ones that I usually use. I also have a serger, which I've hardly ever used, and that's it. I'm quite a fan of this sewing table that my friend gave me. It collapses up small. The machine can sit in there like that, or you can take the machine, flip a lever, and then it becomes a flat table again. It also has a yard measurement there. It's super handy. So yeah, that's my sewing studio. I hope you found this pretty interesting. There's not a super ton in here, but hope you liked it a little bit, seeing how it's laid out. I love having all those drawers. It's awesome. I'm excited to have a nice space that's just like set up and mine and organized nice for me to hang out in and do some sewing. So today's Friday, which means Pastry Friday. Don't worry, we all sit far away from each other and usually outside or by large open windows. Probably next week I'll have the video on my ironing setup for you. Let me know if there's anything that I didn't cover in this video that you're interested in, and I can try to do that for you, or anything you want to see more close up, let me know. I'll try to get some footage of the chickens for you too. It's really windy though, I don't want to go out there right now. Well, I'll see you all next time. Bye. Here are the chickens. My lovely friends. Got 2 Polish bobbleheads, as I call them. I forget what they're called. Crusted something or others. 3 Dominiques. 6 Easter eggers. No, sorry, 5 Easter eggers, which lay blue-green eggs. And then 2 lacewing, golden lacewing waiting oats that went in the back. We were just gonna have 6, but then my sister ordered like 20-something chickens and was keeping the chicks with ours when we ordered them all together. But she then, her chickens that she already had laid a bunch of eggs, and she's just overrun with chickens. So she let me keep an extra 6. Look at those fluffy cheeks. However, I need to build a bigger coop now that I have twice as many chickens as I had planned for. Chickies. Fluffy cheeks. Bobbleheads. That white one is called Doc Brown, for obvious reasons. And I don't think the rest of them, we had a name for them. I forget.